Thank you very much for taking the time to come in.
No problem. Thank you.
Absolutely. We just have a few questions for you, and we will start with, tell me a little bit about yourself and why you want to be a PA.
Absolutely. So my name is Peyton. I grew up in a very, very small town in New Jersey, up in North Jersey, where I like to say there's more cows than people. I was very, very close to my family. I still am, but I lived 5 minutes down the street from my grandparents. So I have learned to absolutely love that, and I miss them every day. I was very involved in high school. I was involved in sports, but I was also involved in community service. I was involved in my community. So I graduated. I moved to Pennsylvania and started my journey at Penn State, which I miss it and I loved it. And I learned so much and grew so much there. So I spent 4 years at University Park. I was very involved there as well. I was a research assistant for a sports concussion lab. Learned so much about evidence-based research there and so much about my learning style there as well. Took part in assisting in some meta-analyses. So I think that's very unique and I love research to this day. I was also a new member orientation director for my sorority, so that was volunteer as well. I coached a little over 60, I believe it was 63 young women, and educated them and really was their support system through their beginning stages of college. So I love that part of life as well. And I was a medical assistant at an internship at University Health Services on campus, which was sort of like an urgent care. One of my biggest clinical experiences thus far. I met my mentor there, the first PA that I would say changed my life. And I learned so much about interacting with my community, the value of interacting with my community, and really got to know different parts of ages and backgrounds, cultures. So that was college. I graduated from college and I moved to South Jersey where my father lives. Currently working as a medical assistant at Schweiger Dermatology. Was recently promoted to lead medical assistant. So now I am responsible for the education and leading the new medical assistants that come in, responsible for kind of taking inventory, keeping the office, making sure that they're able to communicate with each other, the different offices. And so that's just a little bit about my clinical work. But aside from that, I live at the beach, so I love to surf. I love to learn. I love to read. And I love my family. So I'm here and I'm happy. So a little bit about me.
Peyton, can you tell me a time when you had to deal with conflict?
Yes, I can. So this actually happened recently in my duty at work, where I was faced with a patient who was very upset and very confused about why he was seeing a physician assistant instead of an MD. I expect this will happen in my daily life as a physician assistant as well. So this really just prepared me for the future, and I'm more than prepared to answer those questions. I was the first person that the women at the front desk came to about this situation. They weren't sure really how to handle the situation. And I, as lead medical assistant, kind of took the reins and made sure that we were kind of calming down the patient, making sure that they were comfortable. So I ended up asking for the patient to come back because there's a door to the lobby. So I wasn't going to handle it in front of everybody. But I brought the patient back and kind of heard them out, trying to understand where they were coming from. I kind of understood that it was kind of an education issue versus him not wanting to see the PA. So I made sure that I was kind of looking at them in the eye. I made sure that I was reassuring them that their opinions were valid, but I felt that it was my duty to educate the patient as well as to what a PA is, what a PA does. And I did offer them a few different solutions. We could either A, see the patient today at his scheduled appointment time, or it wouldn't be a problem to reschedule him with an MD that was going to be in the office in about a month's time. So he was very angry at first. He was a little bit confused, and that's totally fine. He was kind of presenting with conflict, but I felt like calming down the situation, making sure he was reassured was the most important part. He ended up staying. He ended up being happy with the PA, and he was comfortable and actually ended up apologizing as well to the staff. So I felt like that was my job to calm down the situation and handle that conflict, which I know will be part of the PA lifestyle as well, but I'm prepared for that.
How did that situation make you feel that the person didn't really respect the PA profession and didn't want to see a PA?
It frustrates me beyond belief, actually, and it happens more often than I would like. A lot of my coworkers, are dealing with the situation as well and in a different point of view. And they're like, oh, I knew you would kind of get frustrated with that. But ultimately, it's going to happen. It's more often than not more of an education issue than somebody not valuing a PA. So yes, it's frustrating, but you have to kind of take matters into your own hands, educate them as best that you can, and kind of provide them with the choices. Whether they say, I want to see the PA or not, that's up to them. But whatever we can handle as a medical team is what we'll handle. So it's frustrating, but it's okay.
Switching gears away from your patient care experience, one thing that really stood out to me in your CASP application was the really beautiful description of like living in a small town in New Jersey, growing up there. Can you talk a little bit about your experience living in a small town and tell me if you practice or if you plan to practice rural medicine?
Yeah, so this is a really unique question. I don't think I've ever had anybody ever ask me this. I loved my hometown for what it was, but I felt like I kind of grew out of that. I was in this town for 17 years and learned everybody and their family and their grandmother, and I loved that part of it. My mom was an EMT in the area as well, so I was able to see her kind of be involved in medicine. I just knew that I was thinking beyond my small town. So it took a lot for me to kind of leave my small town and my family, but I was granted with so many different opportunities there. I was actually serving in an underserved community as a COVID tech. So I went back to my town and served there for about 2 months, actually. So everything, it comes with pros and cons. I loved living there, but I'm happy to be able to expand my horizons. And I think that's something that's so beautiful about the PA profession, is that we're able to be there for a larger community where MDs aren't necessarily. So as far as am I going to go back to rural, I don't believe I am. I want to stay in the Pennsylvania area. My family is also in the Philadelphia region. There are actually MDs there. So I am really looking forward to learning a new community. I'm always learning. I'm always expanding my thoughts, and I'm very inquisitive. So learning a new community, being involved with that community, I think is more where my brain is right now. And I'm very excited to be able to serve an underserved community like Philadelphia.
What do you mean by underserved community?
Underserved smaller communities around Philadelphia.
Such as like smaller suburbs or immigrant communities, rural, urban.
Yes.
What do we mean by underserved?
Yes. So I think that there's a lot of smaller towns in surrounding the Philadelphia region that do have immigrant populations that also have minority populations that aren't necessarily valued or understood. So I plan to stay in that region.
Okay. Can you tell me about a time when you struggled academically?
Yes. So as seen on my transcript, I think that I struggled. The first thing that comes to my mind are my chemistry courses. And I'm glad that you brought this up because I would like to talk about them. So I entered Penn State and came from, again, my very, very small town, came to this huge campus of 90,000 people. And my support system was 3.5 hours away. And I wasn't exactly sure how to manage that adjustment. So my chemistry one, I ended up not doing my best in, and I had that mindset of, I'm just not good at chemistry. I'm not good at this. I'm not doing very well. And I think that's where I struggled in the future as I started to go through my chemistry courses. But I really wasn't taking advantage of the resources that were available to me. So I started going to office hours. I started to kind of make smaller groups. I started to work on my organization skills and my studying skills, which I have really, I think that I have almost been an expert at them now. So I did struggle in my chemistry courses, but I ended up really loving them. And my Orgo 1 class, I actually ended up taking a pass on. And that was a really difficult situation for me to be in. But I knew that I was going to be able to recover from that. So my Orgo 2, I was able to get an A in. And I really think that had to do with online learning, really struggling with that. So I've adapted. I've retaken the classes that I had lower grades in, and I have gotten A's in those classes. And I'm confident that if I continue to retake the classes, I will continue to get A's. So yes, I've struggled in classes before, but it's made me stronger. I've gotten back up. I've never failed a class in my entire life. I don't plan on failing classes. And if anything, it's prepared me for PA school because it's not going to be easy at all. It's going to be a marathon. It's not necessarily a sprint. So I'm prepared. I've learned studying skills. I've learned organization skills, and I've gotten better with prioritizing what's important to me and how to time management skills. So I'm prepared for PA school. Without a doubt in my mind, I'll be successful.
Yeah, I definitely see those two. Freshman year, both semesters looks like a C in chemistry. Got to be honest with you, there's not a whole lot of chemistry in PA school, so I'm not terribly concerned about that. There is
Yeah.
some in pharmacology, but it's mostly kind of memorization. So
It,
we're
it was really
not going to
important
harp
for
on the
me.
chem.
Yeah, it was important for me
But
I knew that was, 5 years ago at this point. So I knew that didn't reflect me as a student. So I decided to, while doing my full-time job and studying for the GRE, I retook these classes, and that was important for me to prove to myself, but also prove to, this university that I'm not the same student that I was my freshman year at 17 years old. So I did get A's in those classes, and I know that I'll continue to if I do continue to retake classes.
yeah, I definitely do see an overall upward trend. The couple of C's there in freshman year. Since then, mostly A's and B's. What happened? I'm not even going to ask about physics. I took university physics. I don't really want to think I repressed it because it was so terrible. So I'm not going to harp on physics. I do want to know about genetics. What happened senior year in genetics? C plus.
Yes, I spent a lot of time in genetics by myself. And not that I can't do things by myself, because I know that's a huge part of being a PA is having that autonomy and individuality. I have learned that I do love doing things by myself, but genetics wasn't necessarily a course that was clicking in my mind, and I wasn't taking advantage of the resources that I should have been. I also had a traumatizing family experience here at home, so my brain wasn't at school in that class. Regardless, I was not taking advantage of everything that I should have in that class, and that doesn't reflect me as a student at all. I know that, again, if I retook the class, I would 100%, improve my grade. But I think I was spending a lot of time with myself and relying on myself, not reaching out as much as I should have. So I think that it kind of explains a little bit of genetics. Again, it doesn't reflect me as a student at all, I don't believe.
Can you tell me, speaking of kind of the last question, can you tell me about a time when you were criticized unfairly?
I can think of a time when I was criticized professionally, and that was when I was beginning my job as a medical assistant, where I was learning how to document properly, and I was taught by one actually physician assistant to document a certain way, and I would learn a completely different way with a different provider, and was criticized where I was spending some more time in the room than that provider would have wanted me to. I know personally I want that as much detail in a note as possible. So it was a little bit of an adjustment for me to adapt to the second provider's way of scribing and documenting. But it is my job to be as dynamic and adaptable as possible. So I really have learned the value of being dynamic and adapting to different situations. And I think that that's one of my greatest strengths, actually, as a medical assistant and as a person, is being able to adapt, and something that my boss actually just told me the other day. So I have been pulled multiple times to be with these brand new providers and been support systems for them because of how well I'm able to adapt to those different situations. So I think it was unfair that I was criticized as a medical assistant just based on the fact that I was taught a certain way by a physician assistant. But it didn't prohibit me from creating high quality, tailored notes at all. If anything, it's taught me to adjust and learn on the spot and kind of move and roll with the punches. So I have definitely learned from that. Criticized, yes, but it hasn't. If anything, it's made me better, and I have a very, very strong relationship with that second physician assistant as well now. So that's part of the PA program, is being able to adapt to different situations and make the most out of it and make a patient feel comfortable and confident in their patient care. So I'll be facing situations like that in the future, but I've learned and I've gotten stronger as a candidate and as a medical assistant, and hopefully as a physician assistant as well.
Probably, let's say the toughest, if not maybe the second toughest question in this interview is going to be, what is your favorite animal?
My favorite animal. That's a great question. I really think, as of recently, I have loved pandas for some reason. And so when I think about what a panda is, it looks really cute on the outside, but is still a bear, which is terrifying. So they kind of stick to themselves, and they're happy, and they're loyal. So I think that that is my favorite animal currently. I think it would change if you asked me tomorrow, maybe. But for right now, a panda is my favorite animal. I think I can relate to it, where I can work really well as an individual and be confident in myself. But also, bears are have different layers and are very loyal to their companions. And so I think I am resonating with a panda at this moment.
Fair enough. All right. And then this is me, not as me, but as the interviewer asking, do you have any questions for us?
I do. You want me to ask the questions?
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Okay. So my first question is, I'm sure that you were interviewing many different candidates and you see different students in many different areas of life, and they get through the program and they complete it. So I think my first question would be, what makes a student be exceptional and produce the best results versus somebody who's just completing the program to establish themselves as a healthcare professional?
Okay. And then any other questions?
My second question is, why did you personally choose this university? Was there a specific aha moment, or what's making you stay here in this program?
Okay. Formal interview portion is over. You can breathe. Right? Good. And I really wonder if the Wi-Fi was me, because as soon as I moved away from this column, things got a little bit better.
Okay, good. It
But
was
yeah,
good throughout the whole interview was okay?
there was a little bit of like kind of jarbled stuff, but overall, yeah, it was fine.
Good.
The biggest issue is my water's so far away. I've been trying to reach for it, but didn't want to distract you.
I'll take a
Okay.
sip.
Okay. How'd you feel?
I felt I felt good for the most part. I think my brain works a little bit faster than my mouth, especially now. but
I feel that.
but I can see myself blabbering and don't know how to correct it. So keeping in mind the question when I am answering, versus just keep going, I think is something that I need to work on. But I felt confident for the most part.
Yeah. I wouldn't say you, as you say, blabber. I don't think you kind of like go on in circles. Like some people just keep repeating the same thing over and over again. I don't think you really do that. I actually kind of appreciated that you do add a little bit more detail. Some people are very just like short and they say like one thing, and then out of a 5 minute response, they might use like 1 minute. So
Okay.
I think you have a decent
Yeah.
balance there. Uh, what I think you could certainly do, and this is just overall before I even show you the questions list and everything, is add more specific details. Would you agree with that?
Okay. I would, especially since I've seen your videos before and you said the same thing. So,
Yep.
yes, definitely. There's so many different instances and stories that I have in my bank, and I think I
Hmm.
should work on maybe bringing them into my answers as well, instead of just answering straight
Hmm.
away. So giving those details, because I do have so many different stories.
Yes. And I think it'll probably kind of come together easily more like when I show you the questions and exactly how I think it would have been better to answer them.
Mhm.
Another thing, I'm glad you mentioned the story bank. That was fine. What did you say a second ago? Not firing on all cylinders because I was, treating people medically today and my brain's fried. But you said something a second ago.
About my bank, about bringing it into the story.
Eh, if it comes back, it comes back. But anyway, any kind of like glaring questions, anything you really want to ask before we go question by question?
I don't think so. I'm sure I'll have comments while we're going.
Okay. In that case, I'm going to share my screen. Present. Yeah, overall, very good job. Professional, personal,
Thank
very
you.
like kind of comforting demeanor. So good.
Thank you.
Yes, absolutely. So right here. By the way, did you review this document at
Mhm.
all?
I haven't when I first got the email, yes.
Okay. And I mean, mostly it's just going to be the individual, unless you get one with a group or any of this other stuff. So that's
Right.
fine. Okay. So my few notes that I took on this university, it's going to be individual interviews. Someone said it was pretty laid back, conversational. I definitely was more confrontational, grilled you more than somebody may. But you might, who knows? I mean, somebody might be kind of like laid back and conversational. Someone might be just ready for a fight. So you never know. Um, And also some things that I commented on, some of the follow-on questions were things I wish you had included in the original response.
Right.
So just wanted to get those in there. It's a relatively new program, provisional accreditation. This is something I definitely would mention if asked, why this program? What do you like about this program, right?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe even this. That sounds kind of cool. If there's time. Oh, yeah, this we'll talk about later. Okay. So tell me about yourself and why you want to be a PA. How did you feel about this response?
I realized after when you were writing the notes that I never addressed why I wanted to be a PA.
Yep.
And I was going to go with it, but it was too late.
Yeah, I mean, unless they're like already way on to another question, you could be like, I just realized I didn't actually even tell you why I want to be a PA. Is it okay if I have like 30 more seconds and they're just going to laugh and say yes? And if you happen to take 2 minutes instead of 30 seconds, it's fine.
Mm-hmm.
Right? It shows that you're reflective. Like how many times during your medical stuff have you like totally forgotten to do something and you run back in the room and do something else with the patient?
Probably 7 times a day. Yes.
Literally. 7 might be a little bit of a stretch, at least for me, but it happens, right? So it's totally okay.
Yeah.
One kind of hack that I figured out with a kid that was just like super nervous and rambling and talking really fast is if you pretend the interviewer is one of your patients and you just act professionally like you're at work, that really fixes a lot of problems.
I love that. Yeah.
Right?
Yes.
It makes it less nerve-wracking, like you're with someone that's like the power dynamic is totally shifted and it kind of gives you some authority.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It makes you feel like you know what you're doing.
I'll definitely use that.
Right? So for instance, like if I was interviewing for a job that paid me 4 times as much as I'm making now, which will never happen, I might be kind of nervous and be like, oh, yes, sir, no, sir. But with patients, I'm just like, how you doing? Oh, man, I totally forgot. My bad. I don't know where my brain is. Let's do this. Like, I'm more confident, right? So kind of be more like that. Don't pretend they're your best friend and like overshare and emote and do silly things, but be more confident, be more comfortable like you're with a patient.
Okay.
Right?
Mm-hmm. Makes sense.
Okay. Back to our previously scheduled program. All right. So yeah, you definitely didn't really answer why you want to be a PA. This one, I feel like it started really good. Like I was with you. It was interesting. Some of the stuff you said was funny, like more cows than people. You really demonstrated a lot by yourself and your values. Like I love seeing my family. I miss seeing them as much as I did. It was very positive. You even talked about your learning style, but it kind of got to be after a few minutes of this, it was like, this is a narrative of your life. It was like a chronological narrative, which just gets so boring because we hear it so much, So I wouldn't say as many things in little detail. I would say fewer things in more detail.
Okay.
For instance, the things that I highlighted right here, your learning style, it would have been very powerful if you talked more about this.
Okay.
And then you said the urgent care PA changed your life, and then you moved on. I would have liked for you to stay here a little bit longer and talk about this.
Okay. Yeah.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
So, like, let's say you're talking to somebody that you don't know very well. They're like, oh, this one thing happened and it changed my life. And you're like, yeah, okay, what happened? And then they're like, oh, and by the way, yeah, then I went to Aldi and I got my groceries. And you're like, I don't care. What happened with your life, man?
Your life has changed.
Like, don't just like leave me hanging on this cliffhanger, right? Like, what changed your life? How did you radically change your learning style? Right?
Right.
Is that fair?
Very fair. Yes. Those are big statements that should be backed up.
All big statements should be backed up. So this is what I'm talking about with the detail. So for instance, I like this could have been really good if you're practicing this response, telling me about yourself and why you want to be a PA, which is essentially the same question. It would have been really good up until here. It was a very positive experience. I spent 4 years at, I think you said Penn State or State College. Yeah, that's right, Penn State. And then this is really where I honed my learning style. And that's when someone who's interviewing you to go into a program where your learning style is like make or break, that's when their ears perk up and you're like, oh, sweet, this is a great answer. And then you move on to like prematurely. So right here is where I would definitely be like, And like I kind of had some hiccups because I was away from home, but then I really learned this, and that. And then I
Hmm.
started going to office hours and I started using blah blah blah, like something very specific, nuts and
Right.
bolts, tangible. What was about your learning style that changed? Right?
Yes, absolutely.
Incorporate that. I like that you mentioned leadership, and then you said something about a PA that changed your life. How? Why? If you even want to mention that. If it's
Hmm.
getting too lengthy after this, maybe don't. Um, but yeah, so there's that. This is probably part of your why do I want to be a PA question, right?
Yes, he is part of it. Yeah.
Okay. So make sure you talk about that in detail
Hmm.
if you're answering that question.
Hmm.
So, like I said, a few minutes into this response, you're going way more into the narrative mistake, which we just talked about. Um, yeah, I really like the ending. I forget exactly what you said, but I love this, I love that, I love my family. That's a whole lot of tell me about yourself. I like that, but we
Hmm.
definitely left out this.
Okay.
Okay. So, yeah, the very good things about this, you were very personal. I understand who you are now, what your values are. So, that is definitely good. Next question, and I'm trying to hurry this along because I do have one at 6, and I told him I'm going to be like 10 minutes late, but I don't want to dilly dally too much.
No problem.
Um, Tell me about a time when you had to deal with conflict. Okay, so my rule of thumb: anytime there's something negative. So anytime it's tell me about a time when you struggled. What kind of
Hmm.
patients or what kind of staff can you not work with? Tell me
Hmm.
about a time you were criticized. It's all the same question.
Hmm.
Okay, and you did a
Yes.
lot of this. You want to demonstrate empathy for the person that is kind of the problem,
Hmm.
and you want to take all the responsibility upon yourself and complain zero.
Hmm.
So first things first, yes, this happened yesterday. I thought that was fantastic. Oh my God, the conference room is free. I'm running. 1 second. Both 1 sec. I want to go in there before someone else steals it from me. That girl
No
just ran
problem.
away from the conference room. This is where I like to do this. Okay, so much better. You notice how the Wi-Fi is better?
Yes, 100%.
Yeah, it was totally my fault. Sorry for blaming you.
No worries at all.
Okay, cool. All right. Things feel like
Oh,
everything's right
that's
with the universe.
perfect. The
Okay,
quality,
what's that?
the
Oh, it's already
quality.
better?
Yeah.
It's weird because the Wi-Fi was perfect right out by the pool, but maybe by that column it's just screwed up. I don't know. So it's a me problem. Anyway, okay. So basically, my rules of thumb here are, like I said, overwhelming empathy for the person who was kind of the issue. I don't care who they are. I don't care if they were a literal neo-Nazi slurring, like sending slurs your way. Overwhelming empathy for the person. I don't care who they are, what they did.
Hmm.
Overwhelming responsibility upon yourself. I could have done better. I should have taken better care of the neo-Nazi. I should have been better. I learned this. Since that experience, I have been this, and that. Those two things. Those are your checklist for
Hmm.
anything negative because they're trying to bait you into complaining, being dramatic, talking about how things bother you, all
Hmm.
negative things. They're trying to bait you. You need to dodge that landmine.
Okay.
And you definitely stepped on the landmine earlier, so I'll tell you more about that. Um, but okay, so trying to see if you'll exhibit compassion and empathy. You said yes, this happened recently. Good, 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 good. That shows that it's like genuine, not
Hmm.
something that you memorized 6 months ago, right?
Right.
So the more you can do this, and you did this a few times, the better. I really, really like this.
Okay.
Um, Great example. It's related to the PA profession. Excellent. Shows your empathy to the patient. I like that you described exactly how you spoke with them. So this is exactly what I'm talking about with details. I looked him in the eye. I allowed him to like tell me everything. I listened to him. This was good. Very, very good.
Thank you.
Why did I ask this follow on? Are they going to ask you something like this? No. The reason I asked this is because this is how I wish you would have included in your original response.
Hmm.
What do people remember? They remember people, they remember feelings. So if you would have shared, honestly, I felt a little disheartened. I didn't communicate this to the patient because I wanted to be professional, but I felt a little disheartened because I respect this profession so much and the PAs I work with are so
Hmm.
knowledgeable and I see them care so much and work so hard. So see someone just like brush them off and not respect the training and the knowledge just it really does make me sad when people do that. But I realize, medical education is not what it is. Not everyone knows what a PA is, how much we know. So you do have to understand that and work with these people. And I found that eventually you do kind of win them over. And when they see what a PA is capable of, they never complain about seeing a PA again.
Mm-hmm.
What was different about that? How you felt. I felt sad. I felt disheartened.
Right.
Do you think adding that would have made this response from like a 7 or 8 out of 10 to a 9 or 10 out of 10?
Yes, because I wish what I said after when you did your follow-up question was in it, and it kind of emphasizes the fact that I deal with this every day, and I know this is a struggle that's going to happen in the future, but that you're prepared for it. Yeah, it would definitely make it stronger.
Do you think the statement, "it makes me feel sad, but I have to stay professional," is better than "it frustrates me and everyone knows it frustrates me"?
Yep. I knew I said something wrong when I said that. I was like,
You felt like that was a landmine?
Yes. And I stepped on it, just like you said. I was like, oh, I didn't need to say that.
I mean, frustrates me beyond belief. I kind of understand, but then when you're like, yeah, and everyone knows it frustrates me, I'm like, come on. That's no bueno. Because then it's like, I can tell you're professional. You're not going to, do things that are inappropriate.
No.
But this does kind of give the vibe of like, she wears her heart on her sleeve. Everyone knows she's pissed. The patients know she's pissed. That's bad.
No.
Which is my downfall. It's really, really bad, and I do it, and I'm working on it. But it's not something that you want in a provider.
Right.
Right.
I agree.
Yeah. Yep. So preaching to the choir here, right? Like I'm pointing at you, but 3 fingers are pointing this way. But not a good look in the interview. I'd never say that in an interview.
Right.
So yeah, remember people, people remember examples and feelings. Do talk about how you feel, but then cut it with, I was very professional, blah, blah, blah.
Mm-hmm.
Does that make sense?
Yes, it absolutely does.
Cool. You see the landmine you stepped on and how you're going to see it coming a mile away now and dodge it?
Yes. They set you up, but it's okay.
They may or may not, like, because people who interview you, they don't do this. How many times do I do this? 20 times a month, 100 times a month? Sometimes, like, the people actually interviewing are not as experienced as I am. Mm-hmm. I'm trying to make this harder.
Right.
So that, train like you fight. You train harder, the real one's going to be so much easier.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
Or someone might just be an a-hole, and they might be hard to deal with. So be prepared for anything. Okay. One thing that stood out to me from your CASP application, maybe when I look at an application, I look at anything that's interesting to me or anything that stands out. Mm-hmm. And, you wrote this really, really beautifully, and it's somewhere that I want to live, that kind of thing. So I was like, okay, I have to talk about this. The reason I used this and I harped on it so much is because you did kind of step on another landmine that I set for you. People use things like, where'd you go? There it is. People use things like underserved communities because that's on the school's website, but then they're not prepared to talk about it. Mm-hmm. Do you feel like you were really solid talking about how you want to help underserved communities?
No, but in my brain, I know exactly what I want to do and why I want to be in the Philadelphia area. But when I speak, it doesn't come out like how it's in my head.
Which is my job.
Right.
Right. Like my handle is literally helping you communicate. That's what we're doing.
Yeah. Yes.
Why in the world do you want to be in the Philadelphia area?
My family, part of my family's there.
Sure.
Part of my family's there. I recognize the networking that's there. I recognize the different areas of Philadelphia, and you could go to a completely different area of Philadelphia and meet an entirely different population. There's a lot of room for exploring and learning more about yourself and learning more about different populations and really ultimately just continuing to learn. So that's why I think
a much easier. Oh, go ahead.
No, that was it.
I think an easier way to think about this question is, where do you see yourself in 3 years? Or actually, I guess in 3 years, probably just finishing school. In 4 years.
Mm-hmm. In 4 years.
See yourself in 4 years?
Yes, I see myself practicing in the Philadelphia area. I want to stay there. I really feel like I've had my time in my rural um, hometown. So I want to
Hmm.
stay in Philadelphia. And I see myself really getting to know my community and helping as many people as I can. See myself with, a family and obviously, checking those boxes. But I also see myself really being immersed in my community and continuing to learn in 4 years and not really settling to just be okay, but be better.
This is a bottle. It looks like a bottle. I've seen bottles before. It's a
Mm-hmm.
bottle. This bottle is green. It's actually one of my favorite bottles because it's so like this perfect blend of like forest green slash it kind of looks like spring. It's also super refreshing. It feels cool when you drink it. And like, have you ever had like on a hot day you feel so thirsty? Specific examples.
Oh,
Paint a picture. Your whole response was just generalities.
mm-hmm.
What specialty? What kind of community? What exactly do you want to do? How is that going to affect your personal life? How is that going to affect your friendships, your hobbies, the things that you spend your time doing?
Mm-hmm. I really
What do you think?
want to make sure that what I'm saying isn't going to come off to them that I want this like perfect work life balance or that I don't want to work. That's not what I want to do at all. I don't want to say like, oh, I hope to spend a lot of time with my family and have a good work life balance. I don't want to bring that up because I don't want them to think that that's one of the most important things of my life. Like I want to be a PA
Right.
and I want to work
Well, what do you
in the
want to do?
PCB. So that's hard. I have a neuroscience degree, so I thought I wanted to go into psychiatry, but I learned so much every day in dermatology. So hopefully practicing a a specialty where I can meet a lot of different people and help as many people as I can, whatever the specialty that might be.
So no idea what specialty yet.
Psychiatry, I am leaning more towards psychiatry. Yes.
Okay. Has that been
Mm-hmm.
mentioned once?
Never.
Okay. Why psychiatry?
I I learned a lot as a neuroscience major, so the brain just fascinates me. I think people love learning about people, but I also have a minor in psychology, so knowing the science behind why people behave a certain way and learning how to fix it. There's been a lot of different instances in my life where you're just treated as a patient or a chart or just prescribed medicine just to, okay, here you go, where appointments are 5 minutes long. So I kind of wanted to change that. And psychiatry, I feel like every time I tell someone that I want to do psychiatry, they tell me, wow, we need caring people in that field, or wow, we need really good people in that field, or you're so tough, this, that, the other thing. So I want to change the realm of psychiatry, but I also I know how much it's changed my life, so I want to continue to change someone else's life in psychiatry, and while also continuing to learn because the brain is so unexplored. We have so much more to learn. It's like the ocean.
Have you had any exposure to psychiatry, especially as a PA? Have you shadowed?
I have not had the privilege to shadow a psychiatry PA. I've shadowed PAs currently in dermatology, but I also shadowed 4 different PAs in my urgent care experience at University Health Services. So yes, I would love to shadow a psychiatry PA. I just feel like it's it's a touchy area just because of, how quick the pace is, and it's a touchy subject, definitely, for patients. So.
Okay. All right. So I read your entire application. I mock interviewed you for like 40 minutes and I am just learning this about you.
Mm-hmm.
And it's also a very unique one. Nobody says psych, not one person. So if you could kind of tie that into what you see yourself doing, why this program, why PA, all of it. And obviously what's important to you about psych is actually spending time with people, making a connection with people, actually listening to them. You find that in psychiatry, you have at least 20 minutes, maybe 30 minutes, sometimes even a whole hour. as opposed to the 4 to 8 minutes that most PAs get, right?
Yeah.
And you really care about listening to people because that's how you grew up. You know, very tight knit. Everyone knows everything about everybody in family and in the town. And that's what you need. But you really want to spread your wings and like be more at the cutting edge of medicine in a big city, networking opportunities, work with some of the best psychiatrists, some of the best people. You know, so you might want to return to rural eventually, but you want to be in a big city, and you're really leaning towards psych because that's what you've seen. Can
Exactly.
you memorize that and put it in your own way?
Right now?
No, well, okay, yeah, right now, sure. You have like 2 minutes.
No, yes, I can absolutely memorize that, and I'll look back as well, and because exactly what you're saying, you do great with words. That's exactly what I think in my brain. I just have to say it.
Do you feel like that describes what you want?
Absolutely.
Boom. Yeah, that's like the freaking Journey song, "Small Town Girl," blah blah blah, "Lonely World." Like it's literally that. That's you. So
That
communicate
psychiatry
that.
and mental health in my small town of New Jersey didn't exist. So I really learned to fall in love with that at Penn State and working in a larger population like that. So you're right. That's a
God
great.
bless you, because I could never.
It's scary,
God
but
bless you,
it's
I could
so
never.
unexplored. It's so interesting to me. So that's why I worked in sports concussion, because we did all these different scans and we worked hands-on with the brain, and I saw these different, you know, different connections being made. So I fell even more in love with it then.
Oh my God, that's the first time I've seen you be passionate this whole time.
I know most people don't believe me. I love research.
Why did you feel like the need to hide what you're doing right now throughout the entire interview?
It's like I don't want to have such like a straight away, and somebody in like a school say, oh, we want somebody in family medicine, and so to be like a well-rounded applicant I feel as though I'm a well-rounded applicant. Yes, I have a very strong passion in neuro, but
Where'd she go? Where'd she go? There she is. Wait. Oh crap. Where did she? That's the wrong person. 1 minute. Because this person was struggling with the exact same thing that you were. Wait, was it her? Yeah, it was her. Okay. And obviously, if I throw this on any social media, I'm blurring all of this.
Of course.
But, blah, 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 mock interview. Thank you so much. I'll keep you posted. Okay, I got accepted, right? That's the goal, right?
Congrats.
Okay, congratulations. Did you implement what we talked about? Yes, I was literally myself. I stopped trying to answer the questions the best way possible and just answer them how I would. Also, implementing thinking out loud for scenario questions, that's not for you right now. You deserve your success. Okay. See why I showed you that?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
But it also has to do with the fact that we're having this conversation, that interviews are 10-15 minutes long, and sometimes there's so many different questions that you want to answer in the best way, and you don't have the time to. So I really want to get across that I'm an open book as a PA. But yes, I do have a very strong passion for neuroscience.
If you don't remember anything else about this mock interview, it's literally this. Okay. Demonstrate your passion, what you're passionate about. Don't use platitudes. Don't describe things in a very professional way without actually saying anything. Get to the heart of what you actually want to do. I am so passionate about psych. That's why I was like doing athletic training where we did brain scans. I didn't know that was a thing. Whatever it may be. And then go back about that. Don't go in circles, but talk about how you're super passionate about this and how being a PA, perhaps working in psych, will lead you to, exploring your passions.
Absolutely.
Right? Okay. So if you take nothing away from this interview, it's going to be that. That's what I want you to do. Do exactly what that girl did, and we'll also get in. Okay. Let's
Oh,
see.
yeah.
Okay,
Yes.
yeah. Underserved communities. I feel like you were kind of using a buzzword. We didn't really describe it a whole lot. I was like really digging for like a good answer there. And it also doesn't really match up with like your experience in a dermatology practice. Like, when did you actually do this? Or what do you want to do with it?
Right.
Right.
I should have talked
So I
more
think
about
you're
it. Yes. Yeah.
100%. You could certainly talk about underserved communities like the one you grew up in, where mental health, like you said, doesn't exist. And if some people just got listened to and, someone was actually there for them, then the overall community would probably improve.
Mhm.
Um, so yeah, you could probably talk about that. Okay. When you struggled academically, if they really want to harp on your grades, which they might, because it's not like it was like a few C's, a few B's, and then boom, straight A's,
Mhm.
junior and senior year. There was some hiccups in senior year.
Sure.
So I don't feel like this was the strongest response about the C during senior year. You were like, I didn't,
Yeah.
I was by myself. I'm not sure how that could be improved.
I was actually
Um,
more so I'm glad that you asked that question because I was more so focused on them bringing up chemistries, which I've taken the time to retake. So you bringing up
mhm.
genetics is great because I could definitely work on that as well.
Yeah, and physics was in there too, but physics is less concerning than genetics because you'll have genetics in PA school, not physics.
Yes.
Um, the the people that I see, it might just be a correlation, not a causation, but people who have an upward trend consistently, D's, F's, maybe B's, C's, whatever, but then like much better B's and A's, mostly A's,
Mhm.
senior year or junior year, those people seem to have no problem. People that are kind of inconsistent or all over the place, those people tend to have more problems as far as
Okay.
admissions for
Sure.
a very good reason, right?
Yes. Yes.
Like, we're placing a bet on you finishing the program. If you're
Yes.
still getting C's in senior year, that's very concerning.
Mhm.
So be ready to just make me feel good about it.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yes, absolutely.
And again, specific. What happened? Why? How will this certainly not happen in PA school? Because a C in PA school means you fail,
Right.
right? So that's why they're so serious about that. So I have a very solid answer to that.
Yes.
Tell me about a time you were unfairly criticized. I don't know why I asked you three negative questions. I guess I was just trying to be hard on you, or I didn't prepare as quick as I could because I was seeing patients. But with this one, again, same two rules apply. Be extremely empathetic to the other person. Don't say you felt it was unfair. Be like, oh, I totally see it from their side. They have to see this many patients. There's so much pressure on them. They're trying to
Mhm.
do a good job, and now I'm holding them up. I totally see where they were coming from. And I understand that some PAs really want efficiency and some want more help with their notes. And I
Yes.
learned that day, and that was very good. And now me and that PA are tight. So overall, very good answer, but take away any amount of it where it feels like you're kind of butthurt,
Right.
right?
Mhm.
Not to be hard on you, but to be hard on you
No,
here so that
please.
you can
Yes,
demonstrate and
absolutely.
glow later.
Yes,
But yeah,
absolutely.
overall, very good response.
Thank you.
Above average for sure, but that would make it better. Um, okay, this threw you off on purpose, right?
But I'm
Um,
I'm just looking at my answer. I'm like, what's going on?
Pandas are cute on the outside, but they're terrifying because they're also a bear and they're happy and loyal. It was fine. I mean, the whole reason isn't to like give a dissertation on pandas. The whole reason is, who are you?
Mhm.
Right? This is the same question as, tell me about yourself. Believe it or
Sure.
not,
Mhm.
it's like
Absolutely.
pandas are, I don't know, cute, fuzzy, and like bamboo. I'm also a vegetarian, and I don't like whatever the heck. But basically, use this as a way to talk about your positive attributes.
Okay.
That's it. Same question as, what do you bring to a dinner party? What's your favorite color? What's your favorite childhood memory? I don't care. They're all, tell me about yourself.
Okay.
Yep. So yeah, basically any off the wall question is, tell me about yourself. So practice a really good answer to tell me about yourself, and you'll be
Mhm.
able to kind of use it for any such question.
Okay.
And last but not least, you're interviewing at many different candidates, blah, blah, blah. I don't really know what you're saying here.
I was trying to say what makes somebody successful as a more successful as a student versus just getting by.
One sec, this is my 6 o'clock.
Oh.
Ending it in the next 10 minutes.
Sorry.
No, you're good. I mean, I'm trying to basically plan out every 2 minutes of my life at this point, and it's not sustainable. But we'll get there. Anyway, so yeah, I'd probably practice this a little bit better. Think about something more unique to the program.
Okay.
What's making you stay here? I kind of like where you're going with that.
I do have a question about last question before, like ideally I would have 3 questions. The third one was something that's a little bit, I guess, controversial. Would you recommend asking them to address anything that's concerning them on your application haven't discussed?
Absolutely not.
No, leave.
No, you want to be as confident as possible. That's not something. Why would you want to bring to their attention your weaknesses even more?
Right.
Right.
I've seen some, conflicting things.
I would not. I want you to appear as confident as possible. If they ask something that they're already concerned about, get ahead of it and have a very thorough response prepared, and show that it's not deflating you and you're going to be, a better person and get through PA school because of that negative thing. But don't give them more negative things to think about.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Absolutely. Yes, I agree.
Yeah. Like someone who's trying to be your best friend or something, and you're like, well, everything's kind of good, but I don't know, I heard you, I don't know, I'm not thinking enough to make an example. But then they're like, okay, yeah, I'm glad you want to be friends with me, but did you also know that I stole money from my last best friend? You'd be like, why are you bringing this up right now? Like, okay. There's no reason for it. Okay.
Got it. Point taken.
Yeah. And I think I'm probably going to have to cut this off now because poor Darren's been waiting for a hot second.
Oh, no problem. Yeah. Thank you so much.
Any very short last minute questions?
That's it. Thank you. I really appreciate your time.